This is Grand Admiral Thrawn. You are listening to the Sarlacc Digest. What a fascinating play on words.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another. Your face, Scott. I swear to God, you're smiling. I had to really look away. That was funny. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Sarlacc Digest, a podcast bringing you line talk and digesting Star Wars topics over 1,000 years. This is episode 219, be recorded on July 26th, 2023. I am your host, Darth Moocher. I've got Scott Solo here.
What's up, nerds?
And I've got Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Hey, everybody.
I don't know where the other two are. Maybe they just don't care. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, damn.
We miss Bootleg Joe. You know, he's been working in the sweltering heat and everything, so I'm sure that maybe he'll stop in. Ernie is finishing up his Fallen Fett Chronicle, so I'm sure as soon as he's done with that, he'll hop in over here, so we'll have the Fallen Fett with us. But before we get into all that great stuff, and we have a really, really cool show tonight, guys, that one's going to be one for the archives. So the replay crew will be impressed. Going back, this is going to be one of those episodes where you can go back and learn things over and over and over. So I wanted to put that out there in the intro here. So bookmark it, like, subscribe, all that stuff, good stuff, because this is gonna be more of this kind of like character breakdown, what we do moving forward. So with that, I think we're going to go ahead and kick it over to Scott so he can shout out our Patreons and then get over to the pit.
Well, thank you very much for popping that up. Very convenient. Hey, thank you everybody for tuning in. Once again, as always, we really appreciate you and everything you do for us, especially our pit crew and our Patreon crew. The special likes of AJ from the Forbidden Panel, Cliff, Brandon and Anya Epler, Dennis McGrath, Don the Dad Dorn, Don and Brady of the Escape Pod podcast on the Red 5 Network, Eric Grubb, Flavy Davy, formerly of the Nerds with Attitude podcast, Gavin Connor from the Holy Hour All Cure podcast, Justin the Vanilla Thunder, Mervine, Matt Logic, Ryan and the Star Joe's podcast. You have no idea how much we appreciate all of you and everything that you do for us. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much. And if you're so inclined,
Exactly.
the link in the description below. There was a QR code right there to join that ever-growing list. So we've got Pit. We've got them Pit being digested.
We do. We've got Gordon in there. We've got Don the Dad Dorn. We've got Brandon Epler, Nebulous B, Matt Logic, and everybody else. Go ahead and pipe in. Get your shout out going.
Nice.
And I think Chris wanted to do he wanted to go to the Department of Corrections for
I was
something.
gonna do it off cam.
No, please go for it. Let everybody know.
I was gonna do it off cam. You're gonna get fact checked off cam, Scott. It's okay.
Do it.
Who's
here
Drew?
so
Who's
everybody knows.
Who's Drew Karpyshyn?
Drew Coppershaw. He is the. He's the author. Is he the
Author.
author? He's the author. There we go.
There we go. Not the narrator. That was
Narrator. There we go.
Oh.
I was gonna keep that off to the side. I didn't need to blast you if you didn't say.
Why
it.
do that whenever the people need to know the facts? Not this isn't Mike Zero. We don't make shit up and then have people tune in.
Just
No,
said
we
his
give them
name.
facts.
Okay, well, I have a list here, Scott, of the last 6
Oh,
episodes.
good.
Since we're gonna go
Boy,
through it.
I thought I was going to have a good day. All right, let's go for it.
Oh man, it's all good. It's all out of love and everything. But yeah, I really do dig the Star Wars history little pre-show that we have there to keep everybody geared in the right state of mind to get into some Star Wars talk. So I know that last week was San Diego Comic-Con wrapped up, right? And we did a impromptu live stream. If anybody wants to go check that out, I know Scott and I hopped on because the HasLab was revealed and all our talk here. It ended up being the Ghost, a massive undertaking of a ship and everything. So if you want to see our initial review and breakdown and all the specs that go along with that, the live podcast is in our channel. So go check that out. Drop a like on that too. And let us know what you think if you were surprised. Right. And yeah, I mean,
and just so everybody knows, I mean, there we go. It's already funded. I mean, it has hit its 8,000 backer threshold. It is good to go. It is going to get made. So there we go. Everybody needs to now buy a couple so it can get all the tiers opened up.
I was number 7,423.
And you lie.
I do, because there's no way in hell.
But it is one of the
pops I could buy.
A lot.
A lot.
You could get a Grail pop. I mean,
yeah, like one
Rex. Well, no, Rex won't even cover it, right?
I got Rex. I can get.
You do.
I need the glow in the Hollow Kenobi.
That's right. That's right. So Hollow Kenobi, Ghost Ship. I don't know.
Neither. It's awesome though.
Yeah. So
I heard the other sides are going to open.
What's that?
I heard that's not a full. That's not a full model yet. The sides. Open.
No. They're talking about making the two sides open, if not completely, then panels opening up so you can see like engine parts and whatnot in there.
Oh, I was hoping for the other rooms.
There might be, but I don't know yet. The chopper is also rumored to be removable as well.
Yeah,
so not a full chopper, but just the head pops off.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Gordon, Gordon saying this made me wish he collected 3 3/4. Yeah, I mean, it is something, man. Like I said, go check out our review because we break down even our who's gonna back it in this group, who's not gonna back it, and all that thing, all those good stuff. There was a lot of other
that figure that figure was definitely live action Ezra, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They were.
Yeah, and it's neat.
The one thing I mentioned, and I just want to bring it up too because I want to get Chris's kind of like opinion on this. It is to touted as the ghost Ahsoka. I mean, an Ahsoka HasLab, but all of it is season 4 Rebels. Like the ghost, the crew, the packaging, everything is season 4 Rebels. So it's kind of like why wouldn't they just put Rebels? I mean, I understand the marketing behind it in a sense, but
I think we're going to see that exact crew in Ahsoka, just like that. The dress,
but it's coming with Kanan. You know what I mean? So it's
a flashback, dude.
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, we're going to see the Rebels.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's Kanan. Was it blind Kanan?
Both. Yeah. You have swappable heads.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
which
awesome.
Doesn't quite make sense because non-blind Kanan wasn't. I mean, that was season 3, season 2.
I think
he was blinded in he was blinded in season 3, right?
Yeah.
No.
Or end of 2. It
end
was
of
the
2. Yeah.
Ahsoka got that whole deal. Vader, Ahsoka, Maul.
Maul blinded.
Best episode ever. One of.
Yeah.
I love that episode, dude.
Right. Well, it's just funny how like I said, it was like it came up as a HasLab, Ahsoka, and then everything was Rebels 4. It was like, whoa.
Well, they're very much open that it's season 5 of Rebels, right? I mean, it's not. It hasn't been it's just live action. It's not it's Rebels Ahsoka.
Oh, basically it's Rebels season 5, but with the lead character being Ahsoka.
Yeah, and now we have the new. We already know the characters they're going to run into instead of them just running into people. Now we're going to be excited more when they run into them and they combine.
Yeah. Well, again, that was like a major drop last week, and I know there was a bunch of toy talk and everything. Nothing as far as anything revealing, but they did have a Star Wars section, an Ahsoka set with costuming and concept art, stuff like that, which is really cool. And I'm gonna have to pull up some pics and everything to get them in here one day because they did show some Thrawn concept art with the golden bridge and gold droids and
that room he's walking through in the trailer, right?
Yeah. And the concept art was like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
And I love it because it's not Imperial, right? I mean, or is it new? It's not Imperial at all. It's not Imperial or First Order. They didn't go gold and then back to gray,
right?
So what are we dealing with here? So that's pretty neat.
Yeah. No, it was cool. It was kind of cool to see that they even had a presence there at Comic-Con because D23 is around the corner, and so is HasCon. So I mean, Star Wars had a pretty good presence with the strikes and everything else that's going on, which is cool. We have 28 days for Ahsoka, 4 weeks. We are right in this countdown. And so, as promised, we're going to do a couple things leading up to Ahsoka, right? So we're going to definitely talk a lot about Rebels and how we just kind of like introduced it, certain characters popping up and whatnot, and what's the essentials in our minds as we talk it through leading up to Ahsoka. But one of the most important things is going to be Thrawn. And I've heard a lot of people outside of Star Wars bubbles and Star Wars circles kind of like twofold. They don't know who he is, but and also they really don't have a vetted like they're like, so who's this guy, right? Like I don't want to say they don't care, but it's like I don't know,
why should we care about this guy?
Until I see something on screen kind of deal, or until it's important, and all of us here and stuff, know how big it's going to be, right? So I know Chris and Scott, or Chris is our resident Thrawn expert, and along with Scott, with the guys that consume the books and all that stuff, I'm going to kick it over to them, and we're going to break down Thrawn, and I'm going to be the guy I'm going to be with the chat. I'm going to try to bring in the chat questions if they have any. I'm going to be the guy that's going to be like, I'm going to pretend I don't know anything about Thrawn. Okay.
Talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
Yeah. Okay, 4-year-old. So I'm going to be that guy and try to ask some questions and what I'm going to need to know essentials of Thrawn, right? Because there's Ahsoka essentials, there's Rebels essentials, but there's no Thrawn. And that's what we're here to do today. So let's just check in real fast before we get in there. So we got Nebulous B's also in there. We got Michael as Federation representation. Hope everyone and the fans are doing great tonight. Absolutely. Hope you are too, man. So people are going to be, coming in, going out. Some parts are going to hurt. Some parts feel real good. That's from the '70s show, guy. I'm sorry.
don't know.
I talk in movie quotes, man.
Oh.
So it's funny. But so I'm gonna kick it off to Grand Admiral Thrawn's there, man. And so let's go. Let's do this Thrawn thing. Come on.
All right. So the way we're gonna break this down is we're gonna start with the newest canon stuff. Okay, we're gonna start where we most people that didn't read the books or anything saw Thrawn for the first time in Rebels. Then we're gonna break down the 3 books, the 6 books in canon, which kind of play out in a weird way. You're gonna see his rise to the Empire, and then it goes backwards into his rise through the just ascendancy until he gets banished and sent off for him to go to the Empire. And then we're going to talk about the old legend stuff. Okay. And the reason we're going to do that last is because that part fits within the Mandalorian time frame closer. And this is the stuff that we're trying to link in and talk about. And the stuff that really, it's neat that the new canon stuff didn't interfere at all in the timeline that the Heir to the Empire trilogy took. Right.
Yeah.
Or the Hand of Thrawn, which is still in there. Outbound Flight is kind of shot, not completely shot. We could probably work into this too. But there's a lot of Timothy Zahn Thrawn stuff out there in Legends as well as the canon stuff. So we'll just jump right into it, right? So everybody saw Thrawn in Rebels for the most part, right? It was for us that knew him since the 90s, having him live action, or not live action, but having him on TV like this in a cartoon was something we weren't sure was going to ever happen. You know, once the sequels hit and Thrawn wasn't in them, I know I kept acting like General Price might be Pride or Pride. Might be Thrawn, but that obviously never worked out. You know, just never showed. But anyway, in Rebels, perfect voice actor, perfect animation, and throughout the way he acted. This episode right here is when he's testing the speeder bikes, isn't it? When there was no functions on the speeder bikes, he put the old man on it and made him go and kept revving it. Oh man, that scene alone, if you just watch that scene and how he ran that operation and told everybody from now on, every bike you make, because what he did was he was the old man was sabotaging the speeder bikes, so they blow up at like 80, whatever they use out there, right? And Thrawn's all, he figured out who it was, put him on the bike to test it, and the guy was going to stop at like 75 because it's overheating. And Thrawn's all, no, you're not, buddy. Let's test it.
Let's go.
And revved him up and blew him up and told everybody from now on, you test your own work. Yeah. So that's how Thrawn would be. So through here, he was called in to help, right? Hey, what's up, Ernie?
Ernie's here. Yes.
Arinda Price needed help on Lothal. Called in Tarkin, who knew of Thrawn. They brought in the 7th Fleet, right? Arinda asked for the 7th Fleet. And I think that's the end of that season, right? When she walked out, Tarkin asked her what she needed, and she's all, bring me the 7th Fleet. And that was when Thrawn made his appearance the next time. Thrawn obviously has dealt with a little bit with some Jedi stuff. He went against the Bendu, and that was his big loss at Atollon, which will play a part in some of the books. Just through and through, I think the Rebels kind of giving him his defeat there. He was kind of letting them be for the 2 seasons he was in there. He would play along, like giving them a little bit of lead, pulling them back. He was always a step ahead of the Rebels. Until the very end, when the Bendu made himself known and all this stuff, it threw off his game there. And then at the very end, you know, he had to deal with the Bendu. Then he had to deal with Ezra bringing in Purgles in the very end. So in the end of this of Rebels, if most of you know, we'll get into it another time. Ezra takes it upon himself to rid Lothal of the Empire by calling in the space whales, the Purgles, to come down, and they're hyperspace beings. So they basically get connected to Thrawn, the Chimera ship, Ezra, and they jump into hyperspace, not to be seen again until we'll see him here in Ahsoka. But that was the introduction to him in Rebels, and where it left us there was, what the hell is going on? Where's Thrawn and where's Ezra, right? Because in the books, in the Heir of the Empire books, which are post Return of the Jedi, like in the Mandalorian time frame now, he does die in those books, right? 5 years after Return of the Jedi. I call it 6-7 years after Return of the Jedi, he's dead. So we don't know what's happening to him here. We don't know if he's going to survive till then. We're really left like, did he die? He's off in space in a whale. He might be dead. So
and they kind of like touched on that with Mando a little bit, right? They touched on when Gideon and the council's like, we haven't even seen him. What's going on? You know,
he hasn't made himself known. He's been gone at that point for like what did we talk? 9 years? Do we decide? It's 7 years, 4, 11, no, 12 years, like 12 years. So they haven't seen these guys for a lot of freaking years, man. And you haven't seen him. Why are we still trusting that this blue alien Imperial is going to come back and help save us?
Right.
You know, so that is,
and that can exactly. And like I said, I bring these up because that helps Moff Gideon's motivations and stuff too, going into the current stuff we're doing. You know, it's like, well, if Thrawn is not around, I'm going to do it myself kind of, you know, attitude.
Yeah. And I think a big thing you learn in Rebels about him is, and it's the same in Legends, is he's very into the other cultures and races and planets art. That's his big thing, right? He reads his battle. He reads their sensibilities, their feelings, their everything through the people's art. So he decides how their military is going to work. He knows the type of the lines they'll take and things like that by studying their art and their cultures. It's really neat.
Fascinating,
how it comes
dude.
in the books.
Yeah.
The way Zahn does it in the books is awesome. The way they did it in Rebels was awesome. He was able to do it in there too. And how he knew about the Calicori, you know, Hera's her family tree. Her family tree was awesome. Just a really cool character. It seems like he only lets his guard down or gets his anger out when he thinks he needs to make a point. That happened in one of the books, and it happened in Rebels, where he got on somebody kind of scary like in his face about, was it because he was disrespecting something? I forget what it was in Rebels, Scott. Remember when he raised his voice and he got in somebody's face? It rarely happens, but he's very calm, cool, collected dude. And it was a neat watching Rebels.
Yeah. But whenever he does lose it, he's scary. I mean, you don't know what he's gonna do. He's very almost Vader-like in that way. Yeah, and it's cool. Yeah.
We don't always get to see that. Well, you kind of do in some of the books, but it's more so in the Legends Thrawn, right? The Legends Thrawn, even though it is the older Thrawn, it's later in the timeline when he probably changes a little bit. Right now, very tactical. Like I've always explained Thrawn as somebody I wouldn't mind working for. Ever, right? Because he's very even keel. He's not going to lose his shit on anything. It's how I try to be all the time too. You know, it doesn't lose it. You take care of your good people, the people that you can fix, you train up, and the people that don't want to be fixed, get out. Yeah, and that's exactly how Thrawn gets them out a different way than I do, right? But Thrawn, you know, it's
illegal here. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I mean it's silly, but he does his thing, right? And that's how he is. But he's very. No, you got it. Tell me what went wrong. And he didn't blame. There was one part in one of the books where he looked at the one of the gunners, and he said, "What happened there?" He said, "Well, I went for that because my training." He's all, "Who trained him?" And he found out who trains him, and that's who got in trouble. Yeah, that's who got taken out was the trainer, not the guy. He needed new training. The trainer got taken out, and that's the kind of stuff I like. That was cool accountability. I like Thrawn. Thrawn's almost a good guy in the Empire, honestly.
I mean. In my impressions of Thrawn in Rebels, right? It's like when it said it was our first introduction to Star Wars canon, in a way of bringing in an EU character, and the way it was like, he manipulated the situations and let not himself, but the fleet fail in order to gain that victory, like winning the war. You're losing some battles to win the war, and the way he let things go to trace it back, and it was dangerous, and having a character like that on the Empire side was like, oh crap, like how are we supposed to, like, military wise, beat this guy? And especially if he's knowing his enemy, how are the Jedi gonna
it's different than having somebody like Vader that's gonna come out there and smash and use the Force and do stuff for the Emperor's gonna shoot lightning or anybody in it. But you come up with somebody tactical, smart, that can outthink you and be a couple steps ahead of you at all times, and it's a neat way to think, and it's also to the point where, like I said, kind of a good guy in the Empire. I've explained it a bunch of times. I know that the Imperial people aren't all bad, right?
It's a certain point of view, man.
Exactly. Some of them are just doing a job. He's doing this because, and Brandon has made a point in here, his allegiance as to what's best to help us. The Scylla, Sheila in the audiobook, Scylla per Tim Zahn. Right. Yeah. So wherever, but his allegiance is to his people.
And Scylla is the correct. So that's his home planet. And I wanted to make bring this up also too, because I know we're going to touch on this with the books and the EU stuff.
Yeah. Right.
We don't really get a sense of this in Rebels yet, right? This is
at all.
Okay.
At all. He's very Empire, and I don't think anybody really in the Empire, short of the Emperor, understands. And maybe Vader. Vader, I think, in alliances, he would have told Vader,
because he's an established character. As far as like when we get into the characters that we're watching, he's known, he's feared, he's already established. And then hopefully, like in Ahsoka, I know, like we're finding him again because he got taken away with Ezra. I'm hoping that we get some of that where, like, Thrawn during the original trilogy, or not original because he's gone, did things, and I hope we get some sense of back history on his importance to building the Empire that we haven't gotten in canon. You know what I mean? Live action one. So
Gotcha. Yeah, well, we'll get some of that right now. As far what really about building the empire, though, he really wasn't part of it. He was coming in and kind of changing the empire, right? So we had Rebels, and that was it. Cool, and we were all excited because most of us in the '90s just loved it. Ernie, did you love Thrawn in the '90s and in Rebels?
Yeah. He was. I mean, like you said, that whole different. It was a different scenario, and it wasn't very Vader-esque, but it still was. But he was different in his own way to have that, and that's what we kind of knew. Because then it was like Vader, but then there's this dude Thrawn. So then to get him introduced into Rebels, I've kind of taken that as we know that stuff ain't canon no more, but they're doing their best to make it happen. And so I fully accepted when he was there. It was like it was exciting. Really was exciting to the story, even with the changes and the difference and everything on what
because of the potential.
Correct. You get the character that they're trying to do. And it is still the same thing of there's Emperor, there's Vader, there's Tarkin, and then there's Thrawn. And to have him in this way. So the big thing about that was to have him there in the show, but then to go into Mandalorian. And when Ahsoka says that, I mean, it was just like another highlight to an already good show to where it was like, holy crap, what are they doing? We're really getting this. This is happening. And it just put it on another level.
Right.
And then for those who already didn't know, now they had to go back and enjoy what we've been all a part of.
Right.
Which is great.
Yeah, and it's a lot of really, really great content too. The way I'm describing it to you is probably not the way I would actually. Oh, this might be the way to read it too. This probably is the way to read it. Short of just going Legends whenever you want to, and then canon, but read it the same way that it came out, or the canon first. I would say to get ready for Ahsoka if you're going to.
Mm-hmm.
It's only 4 weeks away, and there's 6 books, so I mean, good luck. Yeah, I like going through these. I'll get book. Yeah, book and a half. So then we get to the books. Okay, so we'll jump into there. And the first book out was just simply called Thrawn, right? And it was right after Rebels. And the book is kind of, I don't want to go into a detailed review, right? But it's kind of funny because it's a half and half. It's like a Thrawn and a Rinda Price book, like half. But it wasn't bad. It was just funny that they really split the book in two, where Rinda Price is the governor on Lothal. And at the end, she's asking for the 7th Fleet again, and knowing that Thrawn's going to come and help her. That's why they mixed in how she knew who the 7th Fleet was. So that was kind of cool, the crossover. But anyway, what we learn about Thrawn here is he gets found by the Empire. They come down on, I forget which, but almost an abandoned planet, and it's like basically a stranded, exiled Chiss, okay, who doesn't speak any English, blah blah blah. The officers on the ship come down with Eli Vanto, kind of a hick from Wild Space. They call it, right. He's even got a country twang in his voice when it's in the audiobook. But anyway, he can figure out what's going on. That long story. I'm not going to go through the whole story, but they get out. They end up taking Thrawn in. Eli starts translating for him. This is Eli Vanto on the screen there. And Eli, throughout this whole entire story, is Thrawn's attaché. So the Emperor decides to bring Thrawn on because Thrawn has extensive knowledge of the unknown regions, and the Emperor wants information about the unknown regions, whether it be for Exegol or whether it be about the Grisk invasion that we'll talk about later, whatever it is. The Emperor knows there are things in the unknown regions he needs to know about. So he brings Thrawn in and puts him through the academy. And not only in through the academy, he puts him into the better academy, right? Like the Imperial, what is it called? I wrote it down too. The Royal Imperial Academy. Right, puts him over there. He meets Eli Vanto, or he takes Eli Vanto with him because somewhere along the line, since he's translating for him, he talks to Thrawn, tells everybody he needs Eli. He sees something in Eli is what it is, right? He takes Eli, screws up Eli's whole world because Eli's supposed to be in shipping. His whole family's in shipping. It's what he's going to do, is cargo and whatever the hell. He knows all this stuff, and now he's being a translator for an alien. And mind you, the Empire are racists. Right, they do not want aliens in their bit, nothing. So this guy's going through the academy as a blue skin, right, and getting ripped on, and they're after him. And he's been promoted without telling anybody. He came in as a higher rank than everybody, so he outthinks these guys. You know, he's got they try to get him kicked out of school by gambling in a back room, and he doesn't show his rank off until the other officer comes in. He unranks, or he pulls out his pin and puts it on and kind of screws with them. You know, a lot of stuff. And even when people would screw with him, he wouldn't get them in trouble. He would put them in places he thought they were useful. You know, it was really cool. So anyway, you see him go through the ranks of the Empire, and each stage he's looked down upon for who he is, but then he earns people's respect because of what he does for the Empire. And he doesn't lose his battles, and he has very little. He doesn't like to waste. I don't want to say he doesn't want to waste his people, because it's not really the people he cares about, it's his resources, right? People are resources to him. So he's not such the good guy that we think, but the Imperials are resources to him. Other people are resources to him. Now, his Chiss homeworld, I don't think those are just resources to him, but anybody else is, right? So it's all, but he doesn't waste them. If he doesn't have to kill him, he's not going to go on a suicide mission, anything like that. You learn that through these books. The next one, I'm just going to jump around now, okay? But at that part, we lose Eli. Eli goes off to live in the Chiss homeworld with Aralani, who is a female Chiss. We learn at the end of this book, and this is the last time this is Aralani here, and she plays a huge part in Thrawn growing up in the Chiss ascendancy. So we'll see a lot about her later. But I'm actually, if we get deep into it and we're in unknown regions and stuff, I wouldn't not expect to see Aralani and possibly Eli Vanto, hopefully somewhere in this Ahsoka series, or somewhere at least in the movie or the overall Mandalorian Heir story.
It's interesting to me how Eli in the novels kind of takes on the role that you would expect Captain Paleon to take. Because in the original books, Captain Paleon was kind of his Imperial, his contact in the Empire. So I find that character very interesting. You know, he's a different take on that same type.
But what I've noticed, though, and I'm sure you have too, is in all these books, he takes on a new protege, and he's done by the end almost. He gets them, he promotes them, he puts them on a better path, and he takes somebody else on. Yeah. So right now we might be at the point where it's Pellion's turn. You know, and there's not, he doesn't have a large bench to choose from either. So Pellion's been there because he was there in Rebels. He got a name shout over the speaker on one of the Star Destroyers. Yes, Captain Pelion was there. So he's been in both. There's a chance he's probably his protege right now, and that's probably his right now. But I think the same thing. It's like, dude, because they also had who was it? Pharaoh. I liked Pharaoh. Pharaoh's character was always. It's in the which book was Pharaoh in? Pharaoh was in the third book, second or third.
Third.
The second and third, because it was Commander then Commodore. That's it. But Pharaoh was a really cool character that Thrawn helped promote and move on and do things for. And it's just, he grabs onto these characters. And at first you're like, why is he fooling with this one? And then by the end you're like, damn, that was really good. And they learn things from him. It's a really good set.
Chris, anyway, did you say when these book, like the new canon books, what time frame it is? Is
this one is it's hard to tell because it's like Kenobi time frame, maybe a little bit before,
so like 10 years after the information.
Yeah, like right around the middle. Okay. So Kenobi and Andor. Was it Andor? No, what was 10 years?
Solo and Kenobi.
Solo and Kenobi.
That's right.
Solo and Kenobi, and probably Thrawn coming up pretty close to here.
Okay, good.
He gets maybe a little bit. He might be a little bit further back, even maybe 12, 13 years.
I mean, technically, one of the books even took place during the Clone Wars. So
we're just going to transition right there, right? So the second book is Alliances, and the thing that's cool about Alliances that we didn't get. Okay, so the old Legend stuff, we dealt mainly with the legacy heroes, right? Because it was post Return of the Jedi. In these books, we get the legacy villains. He's dealing with the Emperor. He's talking to Tarkin. He's dealing with Vader. And this Alliances book here is a lot of Vader. This is all about Vader and Anakin. Right, how he's crossed paths with Anakin Skywalker in the past, right around the Clone Wars, and then he crosses paths with Vader, and he's working with Vader now, right? And it comes up many times in there where you can tell Thrawn knows who he is, but every time it comes up, Vader only speaks of Anakin as the Jedi. You know, the Jedi is dead. You know, the Jedi is blah blah, never Anakin, never anything.
Yeah,
it is.
Basically, that's what this episode's. Yeah, that's what it's gonna be, and
right.
And if you guys have any questions too,
I'm here too, Miss Sunflower.
Throw them in.
Taking notes. Take your notes and ask your questions.
Yeah.
What's cool here was our introduction really to Batu in a book form, right? I think this was the first mention of Batu. And this is when Anakin and Thrawn had gone in there, and was it Anakin and Thrawn or Vader and Thrawn now?
Anakin and Thrawn. They went there to save Padme because Padme was, of course, she was,
Oh, flashback time in live action.
So one of the cool things is there's a lot of firefighting that happens on Batu. So especially in like Oga's Cantina and around the stone outside in the main plaza. So whenever you go to Oga's Cantina in Galaxy's Edge, you can see the blaster holes where the firefight took place, and you can see some of the blaster scorch marks and the lightsaber scorch marks on the walls, which is really interesting.
From the Thrawn and Anakin visit?
Yes.
Yep. And back in the beginning, if you asked them, they would say that. I don't know if they do anymore, right? Will they? Did you say that right now?
No, I didn't.
No, but if you ask somebody that worked there about the blaster, and they would say what it was from, they would tell you in the very beginning. But it's been so long, I don't think they're as immersive now. I don't know if everybody,
Yeah.
It depends on who you talk to, honestly.
Yeah.
Some are still way deep into it, and then some are like, "Here's your blue milk," So yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
yeah.
So
Well,
Alliances is cool because there's a point where they meet in space, okay? And Anakin's in his Jedi Starfighter and Thrawn's in whatever ship, and they're talking, and he tells him his name is Anakin Skywalker, and Thrawn has a pause, right? And then later on, he says, "Okay," and then you just know there was a pause there.
Yeah.
Well, later on, it gets brought up, and in the Chiss world, there are no navigators. They don't use robots. They don't have things like that, which should come up in that art you saw, right? There are robots
Navicomputers, right?
And robots, and those aren't. It's not a Chiss ship. So what they have are force-sensitive girls, right? And when they reach a certain age, they lose their force sensitivity. It gets worse over time. They don't call it the force there, right? But that's what it is. And they're able to navigate through the unknown regions. That's how they can live out there and maneuver out there as they use these. But what they call them is Skywalkers.
yeah.
So it threw him by surprise when Anakin's name was Skywalker.
Yeah.
So that was pretty neat. So that's something that I think might come up too at some point. If not, well, that might confuse the audience. That could really screw them up if they didn't read the book. So hopefully, maybe they could just talk it explained. But Cherie was one of those. Was working with she was with Erlani, and it was their navigator. Is who that was. But it always made me thought. It made me thought when we read this book that it was mostly always female, right? That got this power. But they said mostly always. They didn't say always. What it has me thinking is Thrawn was maybe one of those. A guy had it, right? And then he slowly lost it over time, but maybe not all of it. And that's why he has these instincts. And that's good or bad. There's an explanation in there for how good he is at stuff.
It almost seems like he absorbed all the information he could before he lost it. That's why he's got the creatures and all that stuff, and kind of like
that's not here yet.
Yeah, before I lose this ability, I'm going to exploit it and learn everything I can about it.
But no, you'd have to be able to tap into it, like have a little bit of. That's why I was saying he'd be good if he had a little bit of it. But if they bring in a Yislamir, that kills it.
Yeah.
That absolutely kills it because he couldn't wear it and be powerful. All right, way to kill it. Thank you, jackass. All right. And then
wow.
And then jump out of that one. So anyway, that was a cool book. He's got Pass with Vader, Pass with Anakin, and I'm telling you the Vader and Thrawn stuff when he keeps pushing him and pushing him and pushing him, and there's finally a point where Vader, they do something together and they start talking and Thrawn's all, "I'm sorry, I know that Anakin Skywalker is dead," or whatever it is. And, no, Vader said, "The Jedi is dead," and for the first time, Thrawn said, "I know," because that's how it went. He realized there was no more Anakin in him. That's how.
Gotcha.
Pretty neat that he figured that all out, and then even saw that he's it's a lost cause. This bitch is Vader now. There's no but really really cool. Then the next one I'm not going to go into great detail, but there's the Ascendancy trilogy, and the Ascendancy trilogy goes way back from when he gets basically adopted. The Chiss homeworld is wild. There's a bunch of royal ruling families, a bunch of underling families, and there's levels of hierarchy in this place, right? And you can get adopted from one to the other. Like Thrawn's name is Mithron Uodo, right? And the Thrawn
that's his
is
adopted name. That's not even his original name.
His adopted name plus an honorary name in there as well, right? The Odo. The Odo means something else, and I forgot what that was about. Mithronio and the Odo. It's like it's a mess. But anyway, they all have that, but then they all shorten their names. Like Aralani is I forget it. Aralani was easy enough, right? I didn't need it.
I know, right? Ari.
But it's like Zayana because it's her. She's not really from that family. She was adopted up too. And what they do here is they take high prospect beings, right? Like Thrawn was scoring well off the charts. So a high family wants him, so he takes them from their family, and it's an honor there. It's not like it's like Jedi, right?
Right.
I'm taking your kid. So your kid's being adopted into a better family, and he's going to be here and go to the best schools and do this and that. We're going to train him in the military, and that's what he's going to do. Yeah. But anyway, Thrawn's deal in the Chiss homeworld is the same as it is here. He's an outcast there too, and he's going with things against the Chiss Ascendancy's wishes. He goes against the military. He's there. The Chiss are anti preemptive strikes. They have to be fired upon in order to fire. Thrawn doesn't give a shit about it. Thrawn, if it's part of his plan, if it'll work to get them to attack or to get him out of range or do something, he's going to shoot a shot. He'll be the first one to shoot, and that throws them off. And they absolutely hate that. And so in the end, after all this, they all decide together that he's going to be banished, with my air quotes, and he's going to go to the Empire now is what he's going to do. And he's going to use his knowledge of Anakin later, right, to get into the Empire. That's why he stayed there, so he can get to the Emperor, to use his knowledge he learned about Anakin to get there. Blah, blah, blah.
Any sense of motivation in his part, like to be the ruler or something like this? He
doesn't want to be any rule. He doesn't want to rule anything. This is not him. His whole motivation is to protect his people. And the problem in the unknown regions is you have the Grisk. The Grisk are this alien beings. Think Yuzong Vong a little bit, but not as Yuzong Vongy, right? But they're mind controlling, people controlling, that kind of thing. And they're the big scary thing out in the unknown region. And that's what I'm thinking is probably going to take the Yuzong Vong's place at some point.
I gotcha. So he's consolidating whatever knowledge and power to fight them. And
he studied the Clone Wars. He studied all their weapons. He's been around this long. He studies the Empire. He wants to learn the Empire. And the reason he doesn't go to the Republic because they're not strong enough. I mean, not the Republic. I don't think he'll go to the Republic is because they're not strong enough in military might and they're decommissioning. Whereas he can still bring back a full-ass military, greater than the Chiss Ascendancy, because in this Ascendancy book, you realize they think they have 4 billion people on the planet, and it's more like 40,000 people.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's been wiped out. They are decimated. They have other moons, kind of like the Mandalore stuff, where you have different moons and planets that are in the system that are Mandalorian. Same thing with the Chiss, but just nobody's on the home world. They have a fake upper that's all ice type stuff. They have things that run like trains, building lights on, all this stuff. But the 40,000 people live underground, and most people don't know that. Thrawn just learned that when he got to such a promotion. He wasn't even still high enough to get in there. Or Lonnie took him and showed him because he needed to know. Yeah. So the Chiss aren't as powerful, so they need help. Right. So him ruling the Empire at this point in the new part, if he's going to rule the Empire, it's going to be for the Chiss.
Yeah.
So that's usually his motivation. So thank you for bringing me to the motivation. So
because that's like one of those things. Like, okay, it was outcasted. What's
If he wasn't really outcast, that was the plan.
Right.
Make us get outcast. Let the Emperor find me. Let me get taken to the Emperor because we're a rare species. That was the other part. Chiss are a rumor. Chiss are a legend.
Right.
So when he comes out, it's special. He wants to go to the Emperor. The commander is like, no, this guy's not staying here. We're taking him to see the boss. Yeah,
because it's also cool that it's such a dwindling number and so scarce in the galaxy too. Because if the Emperor can see Thrawn as like, oh my God, look at this genius military might. Let's get other Chiss involved. But if they can't find him, if there's like they're just not around. I mean, that it's like such a rarity, and it becomes known to the Empire too. Because you would think, like I said, let's bring the Chiss civilization to the Empire. Like you said, no aliens, no this, but an exception because look how well Thrawn is. You know what I mean?
And I don't think they'd ever join the Empire because this is Miss Sunflower's question, right? So is Thrawn expecting the Emperor to protect his people, or does he want to take over the Empire? It's not so much protect his people, but it's going to be protecting his people by protecting the Empire, right? The Grisk are there; they're coming towards you. Come take them out, and that's the deal, right? Yeah. These are going to be a threat to your Empire. That's what he's been telling him behind closed doors. This is a threat looming, and you need to get this taken care of. And remember,
gotcha.
The Emperor has plans in the unknown region too. He's probably dealing with Exegol already. Yeah. Right. So he can't have anything ruining his plans in the unknown region.
It's almost like the Empire, the Emperor's in his way, but he's got to play the game.
Yeah. He uses whatever resources there. The Emperor is a resource to him.
Right.
So he'll be and he told him, I'll be a resource to you.
Right.
And that's what he told him flat out. You know, you help me, I help you. This is it. And the Emperor is not a dumb dude, right? We've all watched him. He was a politician, you know, and if something in here and he can see this guy's intent.
Oh, 100%,
he knows. Yeah. He also knows that he's just not going to lie straight to his face if he doesn't have to. He can figure out what Thrawn's doing.
Right.
So it's a really neat thing when you get to see him with the Imperials because we didn't get that in the legend stuff. It was all him, Sabaoth, and our heroes. But him with the Emperor, with Vader, with Tarkin, it's really cool stuff because now you're in the power of the Empire and the big guys, and Krennic. He crosses paths with Krennic about the TIE Defender program and the Death Star. You know, that goes. So he's gone through all these guys, and it's really cool. The canon books are neat, but they are just a bit different, right? And we'll go into the legends now. But anything else in the chat from canon or anything so far? For you guys?
The only thing is that Tommy, was it Tommy from 1313? He's just recorded a Thrawn whole video too. So everybody's
it's Jacob from
thank you.
1313.
So it's just funny that everybody's in that kind of like mindset of like, we got to find out, we gotta explore this dude because he's coming in.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
And also we have other episodes we go into Thrawn. I think I have a hot topic where I did a full ass breakdown of where it's going with a blackboard and all. Yeah. Right? It's madness. So it's time.
My thing with Thrawn, and it really comes through in the current novels, and it's that he's written to be basically Sherlock Holmes. He always has every answer, even whenever he doesn't have the answer. He's by the end of the novel, without working through it with the audience, he's figured it out. So you never quite feel like you're on the same playing field as Thrawn. And that's what kind of makes him an interesting character to read, because you'd never see really into his mind and into his machinations. Right. By the time he strikes, you see it with essentially with everybody around him.
Yeah. And they recap it. That's a good point, because they recap what just happened. And they're like, you saw this, and this, didn't you?
I like that point, because every time you're watching, even through Rebels, you're trying to second guess, but you can't. You just watch it and enjoy, and you go, aha, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, okay.
Well, it's literally like watching the Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock shows. You know, those are all written in the same way. You don't see everything that's going on in his head. It's very interesting, and it's very. And he always has Eli or Aralani or somebody with him who can play his straight man, who can play his Watson. You know, it's a very interesting.
It does get problematic though, because it's kind of Holdo-ish, right? Because he doesn't tell people the plan, and they just have to trust him. You have to realize that. But Thrawn, for the most part, though, Thrawn has earned that with most people. Yeah. But like in Rebels, there's that great point where he told. Do you remember the name? It's gonna kill me when I don't remember a captain's name in the ship that blew the whole plan.
Constantine? Is it Admiral Constantine?
Yes, Constantine.
Okay.
So he's grabbing his pen. Ernie wants your pen.
He was reaching for me, so I just wanted to help.
You can call me Chris Franz at.
There you go.
My old real estate pen. Shit, threw me off now. Shit. Constantine.
Admiral
Constantine, yeah. So he didn't tell Constantine the plan. Constantine got cocky, said, "I'm going to get this rebel and end this thing," and boom, he holdoed her. Holdoed him. Tell him the plan. That's it. That's Thrawn's probably his bad spot with some people, is he doesn't tell him the plan. His other spot is his weakness. His kryptonite's political stuff. He's oblivious to anybody's feelings. He's Sheldon Cooper with in space. He doesn't care about anybody's feelings. Can't read sarcasm. Can't read politics. Doesn't care about any of that. Right? Just cares about getting the mission done. Type of thing. That's really it. That's it. And what's cool though is the voice. The one that invented the voice that we know, the one that Mark Thompson does, and Scott brought this up a week or two ago, is the guy playing him. So every voice we've known, the proper voice, because the old audiobooks were not the same voice.
Right.
It's so jarring to listen to the old audiobooks.
Horrendous. So this is a cool play. When they changed his voice for Rebels, it was awesome to me. It was
awesome, and that's the Thrawn we're getting going forward. So freaking.
So as much as you guys know about Thrawn and where he is and everything, where do you think his angle is in Ahsoka?
Well, that's what we're getting to now, because we're not done, Ernie. We're not done, baby. Because now we're going to get to the Heir to the Empire, the legend stuff, and this is where Ahsoka is going. This is how we're going to combine them. We're going to do it again, a condensed version of what we've done before, condensed kind of. All right, Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, and Last Command. I'm not going to go book by book here, okay? But the gist is, you have Grand Admiral Thrawn. Okay, he's the last one left in the Empire. He's the highest ranking official now. Okay, whispers in the New Republic that he's returned, that a Grand Admiral has returned. Blah blah blah. Unbeknownst to them, he's got not a Sith, because they didn't have Sith back then in 1991. A dark Jedi. Well, they didn't use him in the book, at least, right? A dark Jedi called Joruus C'baoth from the Clone Wars. He's partnered with him and promised. This is Joruus C'baoth. Thrawn has promised him 2 Jedi twins and Luke Skywalker if he'll help. Yeah. Because at this point, Leia is pregnant with Jason and Jaina, her and Han's twin kids. Okay, that's what this guy wants, and he's on. Anybody want the planet of Wayland on Mount Tantus? Mount Tannis we have seen at the end of Bad Batch, and we've also where else was it the next season of Bad Batch too?
Yeah,
So
season
two seasons
two.
of
Yeah,
Bad
the
Batch.
beginning,
Now we've
yeah.
been, we've been at Mount Tannis, and so
Yes.
we're already there in Bad Batch, setting us up, and those were the cloners taking them there. I say that because this is Jorus, Jorus. The Jorus that we deal with in this book is Jourus, Sabaoth, and the two U's is the telltale factor or sign that he's a clone. So he's
So
a crazy. I know it is so dumb, but a cloned Jedi is basically has the two vowels, but they're also crazy because it's hard to clone the Force, which we're Force user, which is what we see in Mandalorian this whole time, and in Bad Batch and everything else. They're having trouble cloning Force users. That's why they need Grogu and all this stuff to try and do this. They're testing, right? So, and Grogu, who can live, his people live 900 years. Maybe he's the key to it.
Right.
Sorry, I just got a drink there. Right. Okay. So that's this piece, and then we can pull off there for a second. Let's see.
Oh, wrong one.
Whoa.
That's the one.
All right, bad boy. What was up? I didn't even look.
That's fine.
All right. So in this one, obviously we're not going to have all these characters. Sabaoth is out, so we're assuming Balin is going to be the Sabaoth type character. Don't know if he'll be a clone. Would be awesome if he was, just to make this kind of point. Or even if they're promised the kids. Maybe these guys are the ones promised Han and Leia, Ben Solo or Grogu.
You're right.
Maybe that's why they're after Grogu. Maybe it's not just for the cloning piece. Maybe he was already promised to a Jedi.
Right. And obviously,
before
it doesn't have to be twins at this point. It could just be a Jedi. You know what I mean?
It could be a.
Ben.
Yeah, totally. And we don't have to bring in the legacy heroes either. We don't have to at all. The Rebels crew is basically the old heroes 2.0 anyway, right?
Yeah.
They've completely replaced them, so we don't have to bring in Luke, Leia, Han, and all of them. So we can deal with. He already has Ezra, and maybe now he needs Grogu. Or Ben, or whatever the hell. We got enough Cal for all I know. Anybody out here. Sabine, we don't know who's the Jedi anymore. It's confusing.
I know, right? So, yeah, exactly.
Right. Now, also in this book, we have a side group. Talon Card is a smuggler.
Brace yourself for space, Jesus.
Yeah. That is a horrible view of Talon Card.
It's awful.
Okay. It's not quite how I have Talon Card pictured in my head.
What is he trying to sell me?
Eternal life.
Yeah.
Of course. Look at all this great land on Tatooine.
But Talon Card's a smuggler. He runs his own syndicate, right? Mm-hmm. He's basically a bad guy, good guy. He's kind of Han, but to the next level. Like he's running shit. And with Talon Card, he's a middleman. Okay, he's not anybody's business. And with Talon Card, you have Mara Jade. If you have a picture,
I do. I'm cracking up at Nebulous B with his term life insurance comment. There you go.
Mara Jade is a Force user, but she eventually in comics, in Legend, she becomes Luke's wife. Okay,
right.
And George Lucas hated that. Anyway, in this one, we find out she was the Emperor's hand during the entire original trilogy, meaning she was like his attaché too. She would go around and be the voice of the Emperor in different regions. She would walk around and do things in his stead. She could feel it and kind of was there, seeing it when Luke. Well, she has it in her head, like the Emperor sent her a vision that Luke killed him.
Right.
That Luke turned on Vader and the Emperor and killed him. So she hates Luke Skywalker. She thinks Luke took her life away. That killed the Emperor, took away her life, this and that. She hates Luke, wants to kill him. So in the books, so you have Heir to the Empire, which is Thrawn. You have the Last Command, which we'll talk about in a minute, which is a bunch of ships, the Katana fleet. And you have the Last Command. The Last Command was the Emperor to Mara Jade saying, kill Skywalker.
Right.
And that was the Last Command. So, those are some good Sabaoth picks, too, right there. You talk about Space Jesus.
Yeah.
Right? Forget Talon Card. Sabaoth is taking it.
Right, yeah.
Dude, those books right there. So, 1992, I see that Heir of the Empire paperback because I didn't know it came out in 91. I'm a kid. I don't go to hardback books, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I see this in Vaughn's, dude, at the end cap, and I couldn't believe it. Changed my whole world. I read a book on purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, love it. But
it wasn't getting graded either.
No, what's cool here is I think I've heard rumor about Kashyyyk showing up somewhere, right? Have you guys heard that?
I have.
Okay, yes. So the cool part is Kashyyyk does play a part in these books because Leia has to go into hiding with the twins. And who else to protect her than Chewbacca? So Chewbacca takes takes her back to Kashyyyk, where she's protected from the Nogri. No, the Nogri is Rook, and we saw Rook in Rebels. He supposedly fell down a cavern and died. We don't know yet, or if Rook's a title or whatever. But
Rook he was very that Rook was very dead.
We'll say that. Then Rook is a title, as per Tim Zahn said, and we can have another Rook of the Nogri there. Right. But anyway, if we can totally go back to Kashyyyk right now. I could see that absolutely happening. They've helped the Wookiees before. We have connections to the Wookiees, and if somebody needs to be protected, where else would it go? Right. You know, I think that'd be a really cool place to see Kashyyyk getting built back up after the wars are over and everybody's
I love
free.
it. Yeah.
And then we can get a Chewbacca cameo is probably the easiest cameo besides the droids, right? I mean,
right. Yeah, because even in the Aftermath series, we went back and liberated Kashyyyk after.
Yeah.
And Han helped them.
Yeah. Now in this book also, we also have the Katana fleet, which is a different bunch of ships, huge dreadnoughts that they went to be able to come back and fight. I'm wondering if maybe that's what he's in, something like that. Maybe it's a special kind of fleet, a hidden fleet they found in this other part of space, or it's just something that Elsbeth created or if they had the Star Forge and they're just making ships like crazy now, right? There's so many damn things they could be going on. It's throwing me off of where this can all go, dude. And then Islamir. We haven't seen Islamir yet, but in the old books, Islamir is like that right here. This lizard type thing that goes around Thrawn's neck, and they have a ton of them on his Star Destroyer, the Chimera. And what it does is it keeps a bubble around them or whoever's holding them, and the Force can't penetrate that bubble.
Right.
So like Luke would try to use the Force on Thrawn, he wouldn't be able to. Right. Or if there's too many Islamir on the ship, Luke just couldn't use the Force because each one that touches it magnifies it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, think about this: Ahsoka's confrontation with Thrawn, and she can't use the Force.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I really hope it plays a part. It hasn't yet, but they're in the in his office and in the San Diego in the Comic-Con exclusive Thrawn, right?
Yeah.
In his office.
He was there.
In the art, the Islamir in the art, right? I don't believe was it a
They had
statue?
a physical. Yeah, no, we had a physical. I think they were physical.
Yes.
Physical.
I think they were stuffed.
But either way, they were in full. Okay, so it wasn't just the art. I thought there was art of them. So cool.
Yeah.
So they exist. They're there. It's just a matter of getting them, right? And seeing him use them. But a ton of cool stuff. I don't want to go. 50 million things on here still. I mean,
I know.
They attacked the Capitol in that. We could see attack on wherever the Capitol is right now, going after Mon Mothma. They had clone soldiers, the clone troopers again. In stormtrooper gear. Yeah. So I mean, easily Thrawn would start cloning people if he had
it's an open free-ended time frame because fast forward to the sequels, we're not on Coruscant anymore. We're on a whole different system where the New Republic's at. So essentially, could we be seeing the destruction of Coruscant as we know it? You know what I mean? Like I said, attack on a capital and it can completely destroy.
And that's when they start moving the capital.
Yeah, I mean
that's
it all plays into the Thrawn trilogy books, the legend books.
So as long as so to answer your question, Ernie, a lot of places, right? So Thrawn's gonna have a Jedi or two, or we know he has two, right? I think he's gonna try to go after some help get them some Jedi to be on their side, dark Jedi, Sith, whatever. Yes, I mean
obviously all dark Jedi at this point.
He's gonna have a new.
We see the Inquisitor is in there.
Yeah. There is an Inquisitor in there, right? Jesus, right?
So,
there's so many things, dude.
Yeah, because the Inquisitor's already there.
There's mind you, there was a lot of stuff in the book when I was reading through and I was taking notes on the Legends versus canon. There's a lot more characters in the Legends, so there's a lot more room to move people around and add stuff in. There was a lot going on in those books. They were very detailed, a lot of different stories going on.
I know that at one time it was the twins, right? Jason and Jaina, right? So could this, just because of the quick flashback and we know how Filoni is, could this actually turn into maybe a type of Rey? Remember how the flashback is her screaming that she wanted to get away and then she was kind of being hidden there? We know it's the Emperor's granddaughter, but could that be the twist as far as
we're close?
She was promised to him, you know?
We're close because she's 19. She's 19. I'm trying. We're 7 years after right now. Let's call it 9 to be safe. So that leaves us 21 years. No, she wouldn't be born yet. She's not born yet. No, but the discussion could be happening.
Son is.
The powerful.
would be her dad, right?
Yes, the non-powerful son. There are Emperor clones happening right now.
Okay,
Right.
So the one with no force ability at all, but is a normal human, should exist. Should exist pretty close to right now. If he's not out of the jar yet, he's existing.
Right.
So we could still be kind of getting tied in, because I know we were talking about the ship that he's in and everything. Could that be this hidden Exegol fleet and everything that he was kind of running or maybe trying to take away? You know,
perhaps. I just don't know about the. Well, you know what? He does have a gold stormtrooper behind him too, doesn't he? Shit, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have anything with gold. The gold throws me off, man, because that's nothing in that. Empire doesn't scream gold to me. You know what? A warlord would just have that. You know,
there was the one stormtrooper commander in Resistance, Pyre, who had I think it was Commander Pyre, who had the gold armor. But that was
well. Then that just turns into once her name is just all silver, all out.
To that point, that was where I was
a Naboo ship.
The only one that ever had anything different was her, and then Cardinal got it, and she got mad, and then Pyre has it, and then everybody gets mad. Yeah, but
I'm just saying we know the layout, we know the books, and just hearing that it's going to be called Heir to the Empire and the story, and then now this Ahsoka series, I'm excited to see his twist to actually bring it together into that.
Me too.
Like to make this just the bigger story of the books were loved and the Legend series was like that's everybody's kind of gospel, right? But imagine just how he could twist it and make it this of, oh my God, why didn't we think of that? Like I see so much of that happening.
Well, the Thrawn trilogy was, and a lot of people forever was episode 7, 8, 9. It was 7, 8, 9.
Right.
When we were getting 3 new movies, we thought it was those, and I'm talking about the prequels. When they announced movies and coming in 1999, oh man, we're getting the Thrawn trilogy already.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So bringing in these elements to create, a
then at that time the fandom hated. No, it's going to be the story of Anakin. What?
Yeah,
everybody did. They thought it was Heir to the Empire, the whole Thrawn trilogy book. That was like everywhere you went, and that's so funny because we didn't have the time of social networking. Yeah. That was freaking comic book shop talk and nerd talk just throughout, right? That was everybody's speculation. That has to be it. And for us, it was kind of that as going through it was, what do you mean we're getting the Vader story? Like he's Vader, like.
Well,
you know when it was announced,
everything you're telling me, I know.
Or when the sequels were announced, that was really the kick. It's like, well, sequels, we're going 7, 8, 9. Well, cool. That's obviously going to be Thrawn. And why would you screw around with what we already have?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why. Because you can still come back and do it.
Because somebody didn't know that there was source material. I don't know
at all.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be exact, right? But if there's some story
elements there.
That's familiar. It's still the same thing. It still looks the same. Him and he's got some Jedi. Again, we have a Jason right now and a Ben. Yeah. Jason and Ben. I keep forgetting about Syndulla. So I mean, they could be coming after all the. You know what? The First Order
all
goes
the Force
after kids.
Children.
We're going after kids. They're going after the Force. That's right. They're going after all the Force children. So and now we have a bunch of them.
Well, because the First Order was just kids as well too.
Yeah.
So it's like you separate the Jedi from those kids because that was Finn's big story, right? He was taken as a kid.
I was just watching the season 2 episode of Rebels where the Inquisitors were going around taking babies, and they were taking Force-sensitive babies.
Yep. That was with the librarian one, right?
Librarian? No, that was
Jedi, the slow one. Didn't he turn out to be the librarian when they were taking the kids?
No, that was an episode of the Clone Wars. That was an episode of the Clone Wars. I'm talking Rebels. Rebels. It was they were on Garel or something like that, and there was a Force sensitive Hammerhead baby,
and they were still taking the baby. Yeah.
So I mean, taking Force babies. I mean, that's
awesome.
That's some dark stuff right there. Yeah,
it's awesome, and it fits, especially since we have Skeleton Crew in the same time frame right now too. Because now you've got something else where you're just adding a whole bunch of kids, whether they're going to protect or get in a group or whatever. Because Jason, Ben, Grogu are all kids in a cool age right now that they could go off on an adventure with that skeleton.
Yeah, because you also got to and you also got to think like the Force didn't stop producing midichlorian heavy offsprings, I guess.
Just because they died doesn't mean it stopped.
Exactly. So it's a very challenging thing that the Empire would continue to be like, okay, we're concentrating all our power, but we still got to stop these Force users or bring them into our fold, our mix, train them the way we want to be trained, and hence why all these dark Jedis and all these dark Force users we're seeing more of them in this time frame moving on. It could have been a plan the whole time. You know what I mean?
But we're already
But he was
though.
But he was no, hold on. That Dark Force user was a Clone Wars veteran. Right there.
Who that? Who?
Balin.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying like people like him. I'm not saying him
because he literally said Anakin spoke highly of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm
So,
saying
like,
we already teased it because in that same with the Mando thing is we got to see the brand new Jedi school from Luke.
Yeah,
it's literally being built,
and then you got him fighting over it. You know what I mean? And just like in the sequels when Snoke told him, said if the Luke is brought back, that's it's over. Like if he brings back the Jedi Council or the Order, it's over for us, kind of deal. And so he knows it's a constant struggle, and it's cool to see that on the bad side of it. Like it's a constant struggle to keep it enforced. Like constantly monitoring Force users, kidnapping them or turning them over, whatever. But then also you got pockets.
I really want to
see
Ben though. I really want to see a jacked up Ben.
I want to see his transition, man. I really do.
That's what I want is this anger. Like what Han and Leia weren't there. Maybe it was just Chewie, or he was thrown with Luke the whole time, and these little fits of anger that he has of supposed dark side that we could get to see. Of his. It's not that it was crazy in the sequels, right? But those fits that he threw. He threw a lot of fits. Yeah. Honestly, that's the best way to put it.
I want to see him crush something with his mind when he's walking by pissed off, and
exactly. That's exactly what I want to see, and it's just like it would play so much better that we don't call him fits.
I would love if he got mad and hurt R2.
Oh hell! You bite your tongue.
No, obviously he won't be fatal. He's
right. No,
but you know what I mean. That would be one of those things where you can't really hurt a person. You know, and make it, but if he hurts R2, that's probably I want to see R2 close to Ben. Yeah. Because Chewie's not around. Chewie's on Kashyyyk. Lando's not around. Han's not around. Nobody's around. Luke's around, but he's busy. I want to see R2, I bet is pretty close. He's pretty close to R2, probably just talking to him. Right? And he's his grandfather's droid.
R2 telling the stories of everything to Ben.
Yeah. We always said. God, could you imagine if he showed any of the videos?
R2. Yeah. Right. Oh, yeah. We always said R2's there for everything.
Wouldn't that make it more impactful when R2 went into like low power mode and just kind of like gave up on the world too?
Yeah.
He lost Luke. He lost Ben. Like he lost Ben, right?
Dude, that makes so much more sense. Write that down, Pitt. Write that down. That better happen. Send that to Lucasfilm. Fix that. Kylo, Ben hurts R2. R2 is super close to him. Write that down.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
It was
important.
That kind of the parent role, right? Of the babysitter takes it. Well, like we're saying, if everybody's gone off and done stuff and R2 is the one with them and telling him these stories of like all the past.
Yeah. All you got is your dog, man. That's all you got. Yeah. And it's him, awesome. It's him and R2. I love it.
That's we always looking forward. Like, I was just gonna make a comment. Like when Chris was going through all like the EU stuff and Thrawn's and bringing it up full circle. It's always like in my head. It's always with that end game in mind of what we've got, like the sequels. Okay, I know there's a 33 years, and we're gapping this, and we're making this Thrawn War, Heir of the Empire chapter within. But it's also got to lead to the First Order and got to lead to the sequels again, because they're not going to redo them. They're not canceling them. So they got to have things enhance it. And stuff that we come up with on this show does enhance it for me. Like it really goes, okay, cool. Then I could, focus and be like, all right, because that event led to this and it makes more sense and blah, 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 and I think that, and I really do think that they have that in mind when they're doing this. So they can't go verbatim on the Thrawn trilogy and bring it in. So they're going the ways around.
They're adapting it.
And there's zero reason for Bad Batch to introduce Tantus, and all this stuff if we're not going to use it.
There's no way not. They've been cloning the shit out of stuff in Mandalorian, dude.
Yeah, and the whole Mando season 3. it's like it's one of those things like what Scott was saying, like when you're watching Sherlock Holmes, it's like we're trying to make sense, but when it does make sense, it's all like it all has that revelation and backtrack, like all these pinpoints and the buttons, the bells goes off, and I love that. Like I love the fact that this is the direction we're going with these shows and stuff. It's gonna be so cool.
This sounds fun. Like I'm literally ready because we kind of have an outline for it.
I was gonna ask a question on Thrawn, which is it is a spoilery question because it could deter our talks into Thrawn's demise into the Ahsoka series, which is I was like, how did Thrawn die in the
he got literally backstabbed. He was sitting on his chair in his ship, and Rook, who had found out that so just go backwards real quick. Rook's home planet was destroyed, decimated in a war, right?
Yeah.
The Emperor and Vader came and said, "We'll take care of you people, blah blah blah, but you'll be our servants," and that's what they are. They work for them. They're their assassins. They work, do whatever for them.
Right.
And but what the Empire does have droids going around trying to clean their fields and clean their planet. Leia gets there after the Wookiee attack, right? And she gets there because when she's on the Wookiee planet, the Nogri stops attacking her because he smells her. And he says, "You're the daughter of Vader. You know, you're his daughter. You're his blood." So
Lady Vader.
Lady Vader. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Lady Vader. So he takes her there, and she's welcome because he was their savior. Right. And so her and Chewie figure out that they're killing the planet to keep them under their thumb.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, how do I tell these people this? I'm Lady Vader. How can I tell her my dad's an ass? You know, we all know he is, but anyway, so. This all goes out. They find out they've been being used by the Empire for decades, right? And then so Rook finds out, and in the very end, Rook stabs Thrawn through the back.
Yeah,
and that's basically how he dies in his command chair. Yeah,
I knew that. I was like, I was trying to in my head as I was trying to answer that question. It's like we knew that Rook could be a title and we could still use that race, but like, maybe Rook is assumed by the role of Snoke in this whole thing moving forward, which would be very interesting, and it wouldn't have to do with that motivate. It could be a different motivation on why he backstabs Thrawn or whatever, and it could be where Snoke. Why is Snoke all gold and wearing gold, and he got all these things, from the Thrawn is all gold droids and gold things, and I mean that's a perfect way to kind of like bring in this, and especially if Snoke is a clone. It's just a way like to bring in Snoke as like ending the whole Mandoverse and into the sequel verse kind of stuff. And I was trying to think like, could Snoke be the role of Rook?
I don't know about Rook. I would I almost feel now that you brought up Snoke, if he's going to play a role, I think it would be a cool surprise that he's actually the Sabayoth role, and we don't realize
that'd be cool too. That'd be cool too.
He's already got Balin under him and under him. He's the main guy. Yeah, because we're talking about Ben, and obviously he got into Ben's ear too, and we know this, and that's who awesome, that's who Thrawn is really manipulating because he's working the cloning stuff, right? He knows he's cloning Snoke. We know he's cloning Snokes. Boom, man, that's really good, dude. And then, like I said, at the end, Snoke is the one who backstabs in his chair, like kills him and then takes over everything Thrawn just built up. Yeah. Why would you bring Thrawn in? But that would be the Sabayoth role stabbing him, not a Rook role. Because I don't think it'd be the Rook role. I think for a Rook role, only on his death. That's what I was. Yeah, you just wouldn't have a race. I get you. I got you. That's what I'm saying. You feel like we're being Rickrolled any minute. Yeah. No. Like I'm talking about Thrawn's demise. I'm not talking about like basically. I'm hoping he doesn't die. Well, I think he's going to. But I mean. Yeah, I'm assuming at the end of it. Yeah. Does Thrawn bleed blue? Did Chiss bleed blue? I don't know. I looked that up, and the image I see is red blood. Okay, cool. Thanks. Like the eyes? Like the eyes, yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Like the eyes. Oh, man, that was awesome, dude. I like that a lot. I'm in. They have to write that down, too. Is there any questions that we might have here or in the pit and stuff about Thrawn? Whether it be, like I said, motivation and something we're not clear on, bringing this amazing character in. Oh, and that's from the graphic novel. So yeah. I actually like that kind of tragedy in a leader.
You know what I mean? Which is it's kind of simple backstabbing. You know, it's very Shakespearean.
Oh yeah, instead of going down with the ship or anything else is
Yeah.
done. Yeah, no, I'm down with it. I'm gonna have trouble with who it would be. Snoke might work.
I think just because it's propelling that next, and it's that whole thing like using Thrawn, whatever he's building up, and Snoke took it over at that point.
Maybe, yeah, and let him
let
him keep going instead of let him demise. Like, no, because I think anybody to end this, you're right. Thrawn's gonna have to die, but I think.
From what I know, Snoke was a master manipulator, and just like the Emperor. And
I guess I just have no respect for Snoke right now. I guess that's what it is, huh? I just see him as a puppet.
Yeah.
But you might if they do bring him in this kind of thing where we see his,
which is what I'm saying. The
Emperor's-
way that Filoni's going to change all this.
Yeah. Right. Had I seen Force Awakens,
and
you told me that, I'd be like, all right, I could see it. After seeing all of it, I'm like, he's just a puppet in a bottle, dude. I don't want him killing Thrawn.
Yeah. That's one of the major plot holes that we have. Problems we have with the sequel.
But I would be okay if here's how it would work. Because remember, Samuel didn't exactly love being a clone. That would be it. He would realize that he's a clone, and it's like you created this, you created me, and brought me into, and he looks all messed up and stuff.
Right.
And he's forcing him to work for him. And then once the Islamir is out the way,
right,
that's what would happen, right? I suppose you could be, instead of messing with my planet, you made me a monster.
Yeah,
that would.
It's the whole Frankenstein treatment. Yeah, dude. Come on. Gordon is sitting here saying, "Do you think we'll get a flashback sequence showing what happened to Thrawn at the end of the Rebels?" And as far as I know, that is the plan.
They have Filoni in the trailers, so I wouldn't imagine we keep seeing them after we see where they came from.
Yeah,
right?
Filoni says we will have a live action recap and catch up in live action. We're going to know where Thrawn is. We're going to know these characters, and we're going to know how they and why they escaped. They're going to absolutely. So
yeah, he's filling it in.
And of course, I know. Yeah, I know. We broke this down a little bit in the past. Is Thrawn convincing enough to bring Ezra over to his side? I'm still on the whole thing about Ezra being dead, but we'll see.
No, I think, and I know you are, and that it can still be. But I think it is. But man, if you got that, then you have the potential for Ezra on the side, potential of Snoke, and you already have the two plus the Night Sister plus Merrick, who is the.
I mean, just because they're bad doesn't mean they're all on the same side. I mean,
hey, did you see they named the Inquisitor Mark?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Miss Sunflower.
Yeah.
We talked about this too. It would be interesting if the Inquisitor was Barris. 1,000,000,000%.
But it can't be.
We all agree.
They've
already. Yeah I know. But that would be. We kind of theory craft that and was like, that would be cool until we found the name and all that stuff.
And it was a dude.
Yes. And there's never been a follow-up with Barris, though. I mean, so that is definitely a dangling plot line.
Yeah, and and I just watched that the other day just to watch it again, and I'm like, shit, you know what? That really is just dangling.
So is
and I don't
Quinlan. So is you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of.
Well, they're throwing us breadcrumbs to Quinlan. We're gonna get Quinlan at some point. You don't drop Quinlan's name like you don't drop Thrawn's name, right?
Yeah,
they drop Thrawn's name. A couple shows later, you get Thrawn. They drop Quinlan's name, and a few shows we'll get Quinlan.
Yeah. I get it. You don't cut a Sith in half and bring him back robotic, and no one explain why either.
They explain why.
We know.
Night Sisters.
Well, we know why. I'm just saying, the general.
But is Thrawn convincing enough to bring him? Yeah, I think Thrawn could. They've been gone for years, dude. Decades.
I think if you explained, if I was that whole end of the events on the Rebels. And they have time, right? And if he explained to Ezra exactly his motivation for being in the Empire side and preservation of his people and all is why he's doing this and why he teamed up with the.
I was just doing the same thing you were for. I was just doing the same thing you were for Lothal.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I had the means. The Empire is in control. I mean, come on.
Oh, Ernie, you just nailed it, dude. You effing nailed it because that's exactly right. He would not leave Lothal.
Yes.
Everything was about Lothal, and he's
right.
I think he could. So, in that aspect,
I definitely would.
Common ground, dude.
I don't know about bringing him on his side because obviously he's hurting. Thrawn is against. It's like two people trying to preserve their own interests, but at the same time finding conflict. So I don't know about. I think they'll have an understanding better than joining forces. You know what I mean? If Thrawn, I mean, again, unless having a Jedi on his side would benefit, then of course he'll try to manipulate that. But as far as Ezra goes, having Thrawn and helping him go back to the Empire or whatever. Because as far as Ezra knows, the Empire is still in control, and it'll be a fun conversation. I tell you that.
I could see Ezra definitely siding with, not going dark side, but siding with him to try and fight the Grisk. But whenever it comes back to coming back to the Empire, the Empire killed his family. I mean,
if that's the direction you think, Scott, like the direction of like they both come back and it's like, look, this fighting of the rebels and stuff, it's got to stop because we've got the Grisk to deal with, and that's gonna consume everything. But that is, I mean, and then I don't know. That's a whole nother direction, and I think a little bit of a boring direction.
That's a 3-hour sit down to figure it out. So
that too, and it's not as
that's
exciting.
The problem is it's boring. I want him to fight. Yeah,
it's not as exciting as like those morality issues and stuff that we've been talking about and getting up to the sequels.
And I think and Ezra's always played in the gray area. I know he got all high and mighty near the end there, and I get what you told me, Kanan, and all this stuff, and I get all the voiceovers, and I get it. But Ezra's been manipulated before. I think. Maul wasn't bad, but I think Thrawn's better at it.
Ezra sees power to help himself in Maul, and he said it, and he allowed Maul to do what he's done, and he gave up Kenobi's positioning because he opened the holocron. I mean, he did a lot of things because he felt it was I guess in the better interest versus like Kanan would automatically like sacrifice himself to stop Maul. And Ezra was like, let's see how this plays out, but I need this other information that you have. So let him do this, and I'm going to do this. So, yeah, you're right. He does have that.
Ultimately, though, what he was seeking was the path to stop the Empire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and if he let Maul go off and do his little revenge on Kenobi, he probably saw that's his only motivation.
No, it was destroy the Sith.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was to destroy
the
Sith.
So there is a difference. You get rid of the Emperor. Once they figure that out, things change, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
but to destroy the Sith is to destroy the Empire because he knows the Sith are in control of the Empire.
Yeah, I guess you don't call it an empire if you don't have an emperor,
right?
An empire, yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. I guess what he'd probably call it First Order. No, they won't because I just whispered. There's still Imperial remnants even in the books.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
And just for the point, Thrawn isn't so much convincing or manipulative either. He's just straightforward. He's just going to say what it is, break it down, logically, basically, and just say, "This is why I'm doing it." Makes sense. Mm-hmm. And that's it. He's not going to try and manipulate and play behind his back or do anything. Really, he's just going to tell them.
There's no background political machinations there. It is all straightforward information.
Yeah, he tricked himself. He tricked everybody to get him to the Emperor, but he was open about it once he did.
Yeah,
and he said what he did, and even when he got to the Emperor, at one point he said, "Oh, I figured I heard different from your right hand, Anakin Skywalker." Name dropped everything. I mean, he's really smooth. He knows what he's doing, but he puts it all out there. He's not going to hide, not going to manipulate. They'll just tell him.
Well, it's definitely exciting. Honestly, like I said, this Ahsoka series is really going to open a lot of conversations and doors and just kind of like theory crafting and talking. It's going to make the Thrawn trilogy even more interesting and more important, and I think you're gonna have a spike in the books, the Ascendancy books and all that stuff to learn about Thrawn and stuff.
It's wild to me that these are my favorite books, right?
Yeah.
These and the Darth Bane trilogy. That's why I gave you shit about Carpation. But and I don't care that they're gonna have to change them. Right?
Yeah.
Like there are so many things when I watch Marvel stuff and I'm like, that's so off track, or especially DC stuff, and I'm like, wow, that's really off track.
Right.
And Star Wars, I would normally be mad, but right now, knowing how the canon works, seeing how the story is shaped, seeing what characters they're going to use, and I'm good, 100% good. I don't need
as long as they use them and don't just completely discard them, because if they completely discard them, because I mean, let's all be honest. Filoni's writing the series. Filoni is not, even though I guess he did work with Zahn in this. So I'm hoping they take what Zahn has written and utilize it appropriately. And I think Filoni is the one to do it. So
I think so too. I honestly, if they would have sat there, and they know the canon because they've got Pelion playing around, all these people, right? But I swear, if they would just sit there and oh shit, I lost where I was going to go with that. But if he sat there and just worked it out like we did, right? And go, okay, I just need I need this to show the mood to show this one. This doesn't have to be there. This I can
gotta connect the dots.
Right. And if you just did that for this whole story, then I'm cool, man. And all you had to do was incorporate like 3 or 4 things over it's only 8 episodes, right?
But it's
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all leading to that film that Filoni is doing that's supposed to wrap up the entirety of the Mandoverse
The Battle
that
of
we're in
Coruscant,
the
hopefully.
thick of right here. Yeah.
Exactly. And like I said, I think, Chris, like I think this whole thing with that Dave Filoni movie, that's I want a Thrawn demise there in that movie to end it all, but also it kicks off something else more sinister, sequel wise.
But okay, hold on. Once we're done with Thrawn,
we got the sequels.
Where do you,
we got the
sequel.
sequels. Yeah, that's what.
Kickoff post sequels. No more after Mando.
Correct.
Right. I mean, I think we'll be pretty much done. I mean, I'll be wore out by then. I think.
There should be some peacetime before the First Order shows up.
Yeah. They can't just be constant war. You're right.
It's one of those things where they reveal themselves, but we know, and then they go into the shadows, and then they build the First Order, and then you watch Force Awakens, and that's the First Order going like boom.
Because wherever we start, we're probably going to end with the Emperor hiding in there, and that's where it's going to near Exegol. We're going to realize it was right next to Exegol.
I would love that. Some sort of
cool.
kind of like the Exegol, and he goes into the shadows. Snoke and the First Order goes into the shadows. Kylo does whatever he has to do.
Well, Kylo's going to be
Luke
young
goes
still.
off.
So.
Yeah, Luke goes off. I mean, there's like it could be. Yeah, I mean, just like.
See, I would love that. This is. I know they blame Snoke for the reason they sent him off, but wouldn't that be cool if it was him being kidnapped that got him sent off?
I think so too, man, because that's a manipulative thing for Ben to, and Luke didn't come after me. I mean, that's a whole thing too, right?
No, I mean, they take him from Coruscant, take him from his parents, and they have to go save him and go. And that's one of the reasons he's like, you guys aren't even watching me. Sorry, Scott.
So at the end of the original Thrawn trilogy, Pelion was essentially the leader. He was, for all intents and purposes, the new emperor, sort of the fleet commander of the Imperial fleet. To have him still around, taking what's left of the fleet and fleeing to the unknown regions to Exegol would be a perfect way to end this thing.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Him and Price, maybe it's or Pride.
Pride. Yeah, we should see Pride at this point. We should see
That'd
Pride
be incredible.
See,
Just
I got
goosebumps.
I don't know why. That's the first time I got goosebumps talking about like a sequel stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't happen often.
We had Pride in the book with Luke and Lando, their adventure. We had a young Pride in that.
He'd be cool.
So
he'd be cool in here. I would love it.
Yeah. It would fit.
Absolutely.
Man, this conversation is going to continue, and it's going to happen, and we'll have it more often. So I hope that.
Hold on. I'm not. One more thing. You know who we're missing? Scott? You know who we're
Who's
just thinking about it. Who we're missing is Sloane.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Ray Sloane, who was a big deal in the Aftermath book. She's the Grand Moff.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure. Wait. Was she Grand Moff or Grand Admiral? Grand Admiral.
I thought Admiral. Yeah.
She's another Grand
Admiral.
Admiral. So you would think she would be in the mix there when Gideon was having his talk or somewhere. So that's another character
somewhere in that council. Yeah.
Did she survive the Battle of Jakku? I don't remember.
I thought so. I
don't recall if she survived the Battle of Jakku.
I thought she was captured. I have to go back and.
I don't really like to redo the Aftermath series. I did it once, and I don't want to do it again. Yeah.
Empire's End. We'll have to skim it. We'll skim it and see about Sloane.
You do a quick Google search and figure it out before we had to read it. So
right. So Miss Sunflower. Sad that we only got a few years of Thrawn because he will probably die before Force Awakens. Yeah.
It's funny to say that because it is a lot of years because they condensed it so quick, right? So you're like 6 books. 6 books covered us from the Clone Wars up until Rebels.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, in the Clone Wars, so that was 19 years, 22 years there they covered.
Right. Yeah, I get her point too.
I get her point. I get her point too. It's like in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's just real fast. But that makes our fandom and what we do as fandom so much more. Like we take Thrawn and we will blast them on a pedestal. The less screen time we get, the more we build them up. And it really is.
Sloane escaped into the unknown regions with Brendel and Armitage Hux.
There you go. And we saw Brendel.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
She's just not on that. She just didn't make the phone call.
So she's probably with him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
So there you go. We're
Yeah.
gonna see
You
these people
take this.
show
I'm
up.
tired of talking to Moff Gideon.
She is a Grand Admiral. So she is the
Okay,
Grand
cool.
Admiral of the Imperial Fleet
Wow.
with
Okay.
Brendel and Armitage Hux
Yes.
Until Thrawn shows up.
Right.
until Thrawn shows up.
Cool. That's awesome.
I love it.
Exactly. So, anything else?
Sorry. Yes.
Yeah,
one
go
thing.
ahead. I knew there was something.
I knew. We should have mentioned that though. He was mentioned in the Aftermath books too. Remember when somebody said, "Well, they sent the blue." They didn't say. I don't think they sent the Chiss, the blue. They didn't say Thrawn by name though.
No.
The Chiss. They sent the Chiss to the Emperor. Sent the Chiss to the unknown regions for something.
Yes.
And he's been
Yes.
gone.
Because that's how.
what it
Yes.
was. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Exactly.
so which I guess is wrong, but the Empire might think that because they did say that.
It
in
could have
Aftermath,
been
but-
propaganda.
Right.
Could have been some
Yeah.
propaganda. You know, he
There are
wasn't
some-
defeated. He just
Yeah.
went off to the unknown.
And there are
region.
some
Yeah.
plot holes in the Aftermath books that makes us
Just
kind of go
realized
like,
that,
we
As
don't
I
know.
said it, I was thinking it was going to help a point, and I realized, oh, it just shut something down.
Yeah.
It was a wrong point. Shit.
Well, guys, I hope that brings Thrawn up to speed as far as like the history of it and where you can find the stuff and research and read the books and all and watch them on Rebels.
Listen on audiobook. Mark Thompson, who's been on the show, does them. He does an awesome Thrawn.
Yeah.
He does an awesome all the characters. The Heir of the Empire, when he does the Lando ones, he's great. I love his Lando.
Fantastic. Fantastic, dude.
But he's really great.
Yeah.
Thrawn.
I implore everybody to, like I said, get into this character, man, because he's gonna be awesome. Coming in 28 days from now. So I think with that,
for shitty characters, right?
right? Yeah,
That's right. Hang into the end of this episode till you can hear the voice of Thrawn by Mark Thompson, just so you can kind of get a feel
Personally
of what you might
sent
get in
to
those
us.
audiobooks. That's right.
Yeah. Personally, a message from Thrawn from us to you.
That's right.
Okay, guys. Well, everybody in the pit, thank you so much again.
Just one more thing. Just kidding.
No. If you have a question after this, like you're going back and you're like, wait a second, I didn't answer that or whatever, or maybe a comment. Leave the comment in this episode too, and of course we'll answer to that, and we'll have this. It's an ongoing thing, man. It's an ongoing conversation, so it doesn't stop here. So I know that
he has HK droids.
Yes.
Remember that? We didn't talk about ancient HK droids. We're getting Old Republic stuff. I can't wait. Sorry.
Come on.
But keep going.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So anyway, yeah. So leave a comment, hit a like, subscribe, bring a friend. Thank you, Chris. I'm gonna have to just can't watch him because he keeps going. But yeah. So thank you, everybody in the pit. Thank you guys for showing up and doing this. Ernie, I'm gonna kick it to you since you're so full of energy coming back from San Diego Comic-Con and everything, and I love
so freaking tired.
I love the Fallen Fett Chronicles. So guys, help this guy get to 500 subs. Go in there and listen to all the stuff that they did through Comic-Con last week, and some awesome interviews. I know that you had troubles on one of them, Ernie, but forgot.
Yeah.
And you kept us informed. And that was awesome.
I got to hit Hasbro a lot, so I got to do right after too. I got to do the Ghost interview, and then went over to Legends, and then the Joe team. So it was cool. Those are all going to be over there on Toy Migos or on my channel. It was really nice. It was cool.
Awesome, man.
A little bit of a Easter egg for you guys here. If it makes all the goals, how could you not have a Sabine to go with your Ghost?
Exactly.
So
question.
Maybe a chopper too.
Get all those stretch goals.
Yeah.
So that this way that could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I was backer number 68.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Lame. Now you owe one.
Yeah.
I know, right? I was one off.
Ernie, what number were you?
I'm not getting it.
Ernie, come on.
I got to see it there in person. That was enough for me. I was like, yeah, that's
Come over to my
cool.
place.
Let me see. It's very nice. It's huge. The details are amazing. The way that you're welcome. The way that the panels are done and everything like that. The card art is going to be amazing. The figures are based off of the mural at the end of the show. And then the chopper, the head only moves for right now. Yes, there is no Sabine, but it would be a really cool surprise to throw it in if everything is met at the end. And it's just what a piece. It's just I'm not, I don't have that big of a coffee table for it. Number one.
Right.
Number two, I don't do the 3/4 stuff. But even if I did, because the Ghost itself is a character. So and the Rebels crew is a family. So it's still an awesome piece, even though I don't collect it. And to be quite honest, I just can't afford it right now. So
that's
I was
a big
barely
part of
making
it
it
too,
to the
$500.
making it to the con on Ubers. So yeah, it was it was great though, and there was a lot of reveals and stuff like that.
Hey, was there an Ahsoka figure?
Yes,
No.
an Ahsoka Black Series live action.
Oh, Black Series.
No, I mean
for
for the Ghost.
No.
For the Ghost, no. There's going to be a 3 3/4 though.
See, I didn't even know they had the Rebels one in there.
Not a Rebels one. They're doing the Ahsoka show.
I know that's what Scott was saying, but it's like, okay, got it.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
and
Like
then
it's dubbed
must be
a
a first
HasLab Ahsoka, but it's all Rebels season 4. Like
But there's no reason that once this thing is done and all these figures are in hand, they won't come back and do say a Rebel season 4 or season 3 Ahsoka or any of those. So
yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Or throw in an old Rebels crew of the not looking of the like that, which is obviously what they should do first, because you should keep it there as the HasLab and those exclusives for you. That's what I always say. If you're paying that much and to have an exclusive, like
but they
the
use
Jabba
the
that's
card
coming
backs
out
as the
that I talked
exclusive,
about.
Ernie, rather than the figure. You know what I mean?
I know, but they are emphasizing this time around of it's the artwork of that for Ahsoka, the end of Rebels. So come back and let's do some cartoon versions to throw in there as well too.
Sure.
A little bit different detail and everything,
right?
Because it still kind of irks me that like that Jabba that's coming out for Black Series is the Comic-Con exclusive that was there. So it's not.
Let's just reissue it.
It's not the same no more. It was the box now. You have a different box that's going to come out. So, when you do things like that, let's not do that. Let's keep that crew over there. Let's release a whole nother crew and then, go from there. And have an Ahsoka crew then, because it's going to be in there too. So you can actually have, 3 different versions of the Ghost for yourself, depending on what they put out.
I agree, man. There should be a base set for the main line, and then you have your exclusive figures that are mural figures or whatever. But the Miss Sunflower about Sabine, maybe if the tiers get over or if it's overbacked, maybe.
So Miss Sunflower, they literally told me that if it gets fully backed and everything's done, they're going to throw it in as a surprise.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like here you go. How could we not?
How do you not have a puffer pig on the Ghost?
Yeah. That'd be awesome. That would be cool. And I know you love the holiday Black Series stuff. Yeah. They are going hard on that with more paint apps and more accessories.
What I didn't like was their answer about the Halloween stuff. Okay, you asked them point blank about the Halloween, and they said, "Would you like that?" I'm like,
"Yeah, it's more. Yeah, you're going to
go over well.
You're going in on the Christmas stuff and adding more.
Yeah.
So come on, that wasn't. It was so hard to get last year, and it was like, for real. It's like we need these different. And why not a Chewbacca Easter Bunny? Like, just keep on making it. I'm saying for reals. Like, if you're gonna do holiday stuff, keep it going. Then, because that's a true series to do holiday stuff.
Yeah, I love it because that's the exact repaints and exclusive that they should be doing.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. For somebody who's getting, have you ever seen my holiday figures? A red, white, and blue stormtrooper.
Exactly. I have something to put out.
You get what I'm saying? Exactly. Let's do these holiday ones.
I know, Gordon. I mean, I don't know if you're being sarcastic there, Gordon, but I need it.
Yeah. And like I said, the accessories, to me, of showing those accessories and what they're doing different like that is now they are thinking into this line. But that's why I asked that question is we're going to go past Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not just Christmas figures all the time.
Right.
So
I want more Halloween figures and everything. Just real fast. If we're Miss Sunflower's asking if we're going to do a Ahsoka premiere pre-show, I think the next 3 of our podcasts are going to be pre-shows of Ahsoka. I don't know if we'll do something right before. We'll talk about it. Maybe we'll do an impromptu live like we did with the HasLab. I mean, that might be something. The only way you'll know is to bookmark and hit that bell notification because you'll get sent out.
That's probably how we'll know too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is one of those things. Hey, you guys want to go on? Let's go. So, I'll put that in the books, Miss Sunflower. Yeah, I'll do that. I knew, Gordon. Yeah, it's like I'm all about those holidays. I'm glad that there's a new wave of it.
And I literally told him that too. I said they are that popular that I could never find them. I didn't. Yeah. You guys had to search later and find them, and then you offered them like that. Gordon with the same, but to try and go out and hunt them and how they did different, they weren't there at first. Right. they were being hunted.
They're very scarce
they-
at first, and then
Correct.
exactly.
They need to hear that in order to
I'm
be
all about
like,
it.
oh, okay.
I love it, dude,
So,
because that's something
yeah.
again. It's something to just kind of like decorate with, and it's Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
To me, it's fun, and I think a lot of people put that into it. It's not a make or break with your collection like other exclusives and stuff like that. It's something like,
Yeah.
well, that is awesome, and
Yeah.
yeah. So
And then for
okay.
those who know me too, you know what? I had to be
You want this,
corporate.
Chris?
Yes.
That's cool.
You can mail
I
it
had to
me.
be corporate vet. I couldn't, ask that stuff. Where's the accessories? Where's this and that? They do
Yeah.
give you, that preemptive list of what you are going to talk about and like that. And you got to keep it cordial with them. You just can't go in slamming.
Oh, 100%.
That was immediately the questions I was getting. Why'd you tell them this? Why didn't you get that? Why didn't you?
No, that's
Of
why I
course.
appreciated your interview with them.
Sorry,
because
dude,
you
got to
were
be. Yeah.
100%, dude. There's tact.
Gotta be
You know what I
cool.
mean? There's ways
Yeah.
of doing things.
Well, I mean, I've knocked him on other shows and he didn't say anything. So I'm like, oh, okay, you didn't watch. That's cool.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome.
We're
yeah.
not talking black.
He wasn't
right
like,
now, so.
oh, Ernie, like everybody else was. So that was, that was
Yeah.
cool. Like
Yeah.
we know the Marvel team. So when I went over there and the dude's literally introducing me to Dwight, who we talked to and know, Dwight was just looking at me and he was like, yeah, okay. What's up, Ernie? What do you need? And I was
Yeah.
like, hi, I'm Ernie. How are you? We're going to do an interview. And I was like a real interview. And he's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Hi, Ernie.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Because
What
it's
did we
different
do
to the-
wrong now, Ernie?
Yeah,
Like,
it's different to the PR people, who are interested in me. And Dwight was standing there like,
No.
what's up, Ernie? What do we got going? What do you need?
I'm
Like,
gonna make you a shirt next year that just says
What are you
"More
doing?
droids, more aliens, Black Series." That's it, and you
Yeah.
just walk around that,
right,
And, that's,
and then go
it
ahead for
might
an
catch
hour.
on. Yeah,
Yeah, show
more
them.
droids, more aliens. I mean,
Yeah.
Could we have a
That's
line on it that says "Just keep doing what you're doing for 3 3/4"?
no, nobody likes
We're
3
good.
3/4.
Yeah, we need that.
Nobody
I
likes
did
3 3/4.
I did tell them that. I did slip that in there as far as the vintage collection is really kicking it. Is really doing its thing, with articulation and the vintage card backs and what you're putting out and everything. And then the Paz Vizsla, I mean the whatchamacallit, the one who they just showed. I was
Yeah.
like, that's a great face sculpt and a nice helmet. So I did, say that because it's like,
Yeah.
you use the old Django body. Why are you
Yeah.
doing that? Like,
Got this new body type.
right.
Yeah.
So I said that. I was like, it's a great face sculpt and a nice helmet. Awesome. So like, come on, let's get it out. Let's do a little bit more. But yeah,
Exactly.
the 3
Ernie,
3/4 stuff was amazing.
yeah, put them in the hot seat. That's what we needed.
I know.
They,
Yeah.
harsh-
It
you can
was
feel some harsh questions.
I was doing my best as far as to put it
No,
around there.
I enjoyed
you
it,
know?
man. Like I said, I know Scott and I were watching, toying around. What was it? It was the Star Wars.
It was the Black Series. Yeah, it was the Star Wars panel.
His live, because the live feed on it. So we gave him a shout out too about like thank you, for going live on that because I couldn't find the Star Wars panel. Like
Yeah,
no one
it was
was.
very hard to get in.
Yeah,
Kevin
of
was
course,
at
yeah.
everything.
Of
So Kevin
course.
was in there for
Yeah.
the first of it.
So we
and
gave
then-
Kevin a shout out and
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we couldn't get into the Joe one, so we
Yeah.
had an interview off of that, which was great,
Which was
because it was probably
spectacular.
better
Oh
than
my
the panel.
They need
How
to
was
slow
the
down,
how was
bud.
the how was the Indiana Jones panel? That didn't
That
exist?
sucks. Yeah, and then I tried talking to him over there too, and unfortunately he just wasn't into it. So that was a real bummer. Is as far as professionally speaking is all I can say. Because it's the same thing over there at Star Wars with him. I was like, okay.
Yeah, of course.
And it's very hard. As you can see in the thing, I was talking to Chris a lot. That was the other guy who was there. Because it's very hard. Is like I said, we talked to Dwight and he's so passionate. He knows everything. We were nerding off of, he had the Christar figure in his pocket. And I'm like, oh, that's so, looks so cool. Yeah, what a callback. The Joe team, we almost cried together of like everything that we were talking about and going over and the passion and all the love that they're putting into it.
Just
And then
keeping the
I
lights on right
tried for Joe over there
now.
and I was like, this is cool and blah, blah, blah. And he was just giving me a straight PR comeback list.
Of course, man.
Yeah, well, of course, here comes the number 4 and da-da-da. And I was like, so you have this indie, and I was really trying, and it wasn't happening, unfortunately. And that sucks because, You should have. There's very, and I tried to make that point as far as indie figures are hard to find. Like right now, they're there and then they're immediately gone. People
There's
are buying the whole wave.
Yeah, just because the movie didn't do good doesn't mean
correct.
The line. Yeah,
I said even to the fact that they showed up at Disneyland, so that's a ton of cases. And by the time I got there at 6 p.m, Indy was sold out.
Yeah,
you
around
didn't
the
need
park.
a new movie to sell Indiana Jones figures.
Correct.
Exactly.
But
No,
and that's
exactly.
what Scott's trying to say was there was no panel, there was no
nothing.
no
And
push.
there's
And
nothing planned for
HasCon.
HasCon either.
Yeah.
and it
September.
really sucks because I don't want it to go the Ghostbusters route. Like, here's your
I know.
figures. That's all we can do. So I tried to talk, and unfortunately, like I said, it was just all standard answers. Oh, well, that's great. It wasn't the passion of everybody else of, okay, so we know that there's 5 indies, but what if we give you this indie? Like,
Right.
Yes, we'll
Right.
take it. So, yeah. It's.
Yeah.
I
And
hope
no
it doesn't.
Crystal Skull Wave. I mean,
Yeah, I hope there will be a change. I loved it. I want to build that alien with the chair.
I wouldn't turn my back on it.
No,
I think
right.
That's great.
I would want to. So
Look what they did with the new movie stuff. They put the Temple of Doom artifacts with the Dial of Destiny, and it's like, okay, that worked because now people will buy the line and to build the artifact.
And by that
Yeah.
point in time in the movie, they actually had the dial. We should have at least got the dial as an accessory, but no.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Unfortunate, like I said.
Yeah.
So hopefully maybe that will change by PulseCon, that it comes up different,
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
So-
or address it, right, man? Like
Yeah.
my thing is I know that that could shoot yourself in the foot sometimes, but tell us, look.
But here's my thing of saying all that to them at the con.
Yeah.
Was we really had a lot of feedback for indie at the con of, hopefully that gets there as far as to somebody else to be like, oh, well, maybe we should have something
right
at PulseCon. Everybody was asking for it at San Diego.
Yeah.
We didn't, but there was enough chatter about it.
Or grow a pair and
So-
put Molaram on your slate. Let's go. Like, I mean, who cares? Deal with the feedback. This whole world does it. The whole world's dealing with, boycotts and feedback. Just add another one. Who cares? Like, at this point, cares. You know what I mean?
Keep the line going. Keep the line going.
Like,
It's true.
God, what are you afraid of?
Yeah, so it was
the people
it
who
was
are not
really
buying
cool.
your shit, not buying more stuff. It's like, what do you?
It's an
afraid of?
iconic character.
Yeah.
I swear, man, it's
If
fictional.
If we're getting Nazi villains,
Yeah, I mean,
why can't? I mean, they're the worst of the worst. Why can't we get a cult leader?
Fictional characters.
fictional
Correct.
characters.
Movie
I mean,
based.
Tote does the Nazi salute on the 3 3/4. I mean, like,
Yes.
it's
No, for
mean,
reals, yeah. And
yeah,
it's movie
no,
based. So
he
don't
does.
you don't have to
Yeah.
put the insignia on, put a red band.
no, forget that.
We-
Like, I'm not asking
correct.
for
Yeah.
like Nazi.
No, I'm
skull-
saying
yeah,
like
yeah.
it can't because it's our movie. It's our villain. It's our
I just-
then go
yeah.
ahead and put it on. So
I just wish, like I said, stop with the PR stuff or stop with the and just deal with the backlash. You're not.
Yeah.
We're gonna buy the figures, and if
you-
money talks, then
you have to also
Gordon's fighting today.
yeah. Well,
Gordon wants to
riot.
riot, period. That's it.
Gordon-
Throw chairs through windows, man. He's
Gordon's
ready to
filling
go.
the bank. We
Yeah.
riot.
Riot or we riot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
riot.
Time
or we
comes
riot.
up, we're rioting.
I'm
That's
just,
it.
like I said, that's our sentiment. I mean, like, we're the ones buying this stuff, and I don't know what backlash really they're gonna get. And they're a private business; they could do whatever they want. You know what I mean? That's but I get it.
Even
don't get
with the
it.
3/4,
No, I don't get
there's
it.
for 3/4 Star Wars. If it's not on the shelf, you still go to Hasbro Pulse and you can order like all the generals and everything.
right.
Oh, yeah.
They're having what's his name in there, like they're continuing it on so much differently than everything else. So
And
hopefully it goes back to that.
Yeah, I get it, and I do too. And the price points aren't that much of a gap where a Black Series version of that wouldn't be double. You know what I mean? Because 3 3/4 are almost at where Black Series is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
they're
almost-
getting
yeah.
dumb. Especially, I just bought one of the Boba Fett's, the comic book version of the Boba Fett's.
24.
No, it was 20. It was $20.99 for a 3 3/4 Boba
Yeah.
Fett. And I'm like, it's
Yeah.
definitely the Boba tax coming into
Yeah.
play. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it at Target for 23, and I was like, "Fuck that!"
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Funko that.
I can't do it either.
Yeah.
I can't do it either.
And it's
That's
Boba,
crazy.
so he's not going to go on clearance.
Yeah,
No.
no, I
Yeah.
get it.
Let's
And
have
I-
Boba on clearance.
You're right.
Well, no, I caught that last one on clearance, so I don't know.
Really?
Yes, dude, at
Wow.
the Highway 18 one. I mean, so I
Wow.
can't say that no more. And where Boba's been sitting on the shelf. Like,
Yeah.
who would say that? You know,
Yeah.
it is a different time to even see a Boba on the shelf later.
I would buy
So,
that, Gordon.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was weird to see. I didn't think I'd ever see anything in the wild. I never see anything in the wild. I don't hunt, but I was right there. There was a
Yeah.
stack of them at Target.
Ah,
Santo 14.
Thank you, Santo.
14. Yeah, Scott is what is your new handle over at there on Instagram?
oh, it's just if I decided to join the costume club, it was Warrant Officer Flint.
Yes.
So
We call him Flint
Yeah.
Solo now. So
Flint Solo.
Flint
Yeah.
Solo.
Flint Solo.
He's
That
got
was at
dual
the
citizenship
Super
right
7.
now.
It was a accurate.
Super 7 Cobra headquarters.
Yeah, I went over there, and that place was insanely cool. I got to actually sit down and have a pretty long conversation with the guy that owns Super 7 about the G.I. Joe brands and what they have coming through in the pipeline. And they were asking us as the costume group a lot of questions like, what would we like to see in future Super 7 exclusives, or what would we like to see as far as figures go?
Yeah. Run the
And
gambit.
yeah, well, they're doing great with the ultimates, but Kevin and I were like, you get your figure, you put on the head that you like, the armaments that you like, and then you've got a large bag just loaded with extra stuff that
Yeah.
never sees the light of day again. So we were like, why don't you give us a slightly cheaper version of that figure with just a standard face, standard weaponry,
And sell an accessory pack.
put it on a card back. You don't have to put it in a fancy box or anything like
Yeah.
that. Just put it. And they were like, really? You guys would buy that?
Yeah.
Over a
'cause
$55 ultimate? Yeah.
we appreciate all the accessories, but they're in a box put in that. Like I said, I'm not going to deck out these guys with stuff that are not familiar.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
That's it. That's
yeah.
a standard.
Give us an
version of
accessory
the bat.
pack and let people buy it optional. And
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I mean, again, I know that's a big part of it. Like you go, oh my god, look at all these hands, heads, and they're not that much different. And it's like,
Yeah.
But it's funny because in some figures it's just a price point. It takes you out, right?
That's
If that was
true,
just
man.
that was
You know,
$15 less, $40 might be doable for all those.
for
accessories.
photographers, it's a make or break.
Yeah,
You know what I
right.
mean?
but
that's
for those
a
of us who
select
just
few.
want one on the shelf.
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
shelfer
Yeah.
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 or
Yeah.
the inbox guy, right? It doesn't really matter.
That's true,
You just
too.
wanna-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
man.
guess it does. I don't know if it does. I don't remember.
Yeah,
They
but
could, sure, if I was
They had the giant Cobra mothership there from the intro to the season 2 of the animated series. And that thing is possibly going to go up for crowdfunding. And if they do, it's going to be like $550 with lights and sound. It opens up like the Millennium Falcon. So it's
Yeah.
got the cockpit. And
these
gantry.
crowdfunding things are getting ridiculous, dude. Like
It's getting insane.
at
That was the
Bernie
point about the
playset,
Ghost. Is that no electronics in the Ghost, or is that
No,
going to be
no
a tier?
electronics.
Is there a no
No
tier?
electronics.
Oh.
No
None of the
electronics.
Star Wars have electronics. Yeah.
The old
Right,
Falcon
just the
did.
G-
Well,
right, but that wasn't
the,
that wasn't
HasLab.
crowdfunded. Yeah,
Right.
the
I'm talking
HasLab
about the HasLab stuff. Yeah.
That's true. Oh, the other ones aren't at all because Mike had to light up his own
Yeah.
Racer Crest.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So
The Marvel
all right, guys.
Legends.
So you know what? Again, like, subscribe, favorite, do all those things to tell a friend, because I feel some impromptu live shows coming out that they're going to be unannounced, and I feel some toy talk is absolutely needed because I think we have a lot to say with it, and I think there's an audience for it too, especially when it comes to Star Wars toys, right? So, or maybe just like Disney, Lucasfilm, let's run the gamut of that stuff. So. But with that, let's get out of here. It's been a great night of information overload, and I hope that people come back to this. They can learn more about Thrawn and fill in the blanks when they need to. But yeah, so Ernie, take us out of here. We love hearing your voice.
Yeah, thank you guys very much for being here tonight, especially to the pit. Go tell your friends. If they're questioning Thrawn, this is the episode to check out. Be part of that replay crew. If you are new here, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and hit all on notifications so you don't miss when we're on or those impromptu shows. We have tons of other content on here, toy reviews, other shows, etc., etc., etc. You can catch us on all of our, a brand new Wonka movie Okay, next show.
Hmm.
And then
Not
you
gonna
can
see that, by the way.
catch us on. I don't want to catch us on also, but I will go catch us on all social media, from TikTok to Twitter to Instagram. And if you're into the Star Wars talk for 24/7 Star Wars talk, hit up our Facebook page on the Sarlacc Digest Central and find us over there with lots of Star Wars news, memes, info, whatever you need. And then you can find us at our own socials, which are all up there all the time as well too. If you need that toy talk, catch me tomorrow on They're Not Dolls, and also my show Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. The Fallen Fett Chronicles. Let's get those numbers up. Thanks, Marco. And basically everybody at the con probably knows about Toshi Station Emporium. So
Nice.
that was a good thing.
Nobody touched your belly button. I'm very disappointed with that.
No, they didn't. They didn't. But
Yeah,
maybe
we had
next
this
time.
thing, it's a gimmick. If you touch Ernie's belly button, you get a free stand. I mean, that's
Yeah.
we had it
I
all
was
planned
handing them out
out,
like
and no one
crazy.
took advantage of it.
Damn
so
it.
Yeah.
You just weren't free. You just weren't free enough, Ernie. You
Chris
just
gets a
weren't
free
enough.
stand. I wasn't. Or it was just too damn crowded in there.
Yeah.
It was being touched already. And I was just like, here's a stand. Here's a stand. Here you go. Here's a stand. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, very cool. Thank you, Ernie. And with that, Scott.
Keep it nerdy, everybody.
This is Grand Admiral Thrawn. You are listening to the Sarlacc Digest. What a fascinating play on words.